Yeah, so this is the strategy we are discussing, both of them. So this is Super Trend and 50 MA, and also we have the fair value cap printed as well. So the settings are same. We can show the dashboard here, top right corner as well. So uh, we can see how the styles we don't need to change. It's fine. Uh, so what we can see is the mitigation levels are quite high for gold and at the moment. So if you look at the last thousand or so signals, 90% of them, the bullish ones are mitigated, and 98% of the bearish ones are mitigated. Means they have been tested, and they showed some downside at least. So that's what needs to happen. That's what makes this strategy workable. So if we look at the price action for gold, it's quite interesting as well. So let's say we're looking at the fair value gaps that have been created over the last few days. So these are the ones. So what this is doing is, let's start at the top. So there is a big drop from the top. There is a big drop, and a fair value gap is created in the next bar itself. This is 15-minute we're looking at. We have broken the ST, we have broken the MA with a single stroke. But what we would normally find difficult is to short here, because that would mean we have at the close of this bar, we have a SL of 67 to 83, $16 SL. So 16 or $17 SL, which is impossible to do on gold. So that's why where this FBG is coming on. So between the breakout, between the green bar, breakdown bar, and the next bar, the FBG is printed. So the FBG would be printed here. Let me show you. For some reason, it's not working. So the FBG is now printed after the close of this bar. So what would be our trade? Our trade would be at the top of this bar, so which is 2472 would be our entry, higher point of this bar, 2472. Our SL would be low of this bar, which is 2475. So that's 2475.48. So we can do 2475.5. So that's $3.5 risk, and target of bottom of this bar, which is 2464, the initial bar, 2464. So that's a $8 target for a $3.5 risk, which if initiated at the next bar. So if we initiate that trade, we would get much more than that, because it's going lower. But we are getting an entry, and if we wait for the next bar, we're getting another FBG. So RSL at that point, at this point, RSL from this 2475.5, it goes to 2467. That means 2467.5, or at least. So that means during the management of the trade, we can now set a SL that is also a take profit. So because we are already in the trade, so that's how we can manage for the next move, and the next move, and the next move. So again, the same thing happens again. So our SL becomes now this this fair value gap, which is this bar's low, which is 2459.73. So round up 2460. So that's now again becomes our SL, which is obviously a TP. Now we go lower. It's trying to mitigate that again. Uh, go try to go lower. So this is happening. All we can keep the trade. We can keep the trade. Continue with the trend unless that is broken. Now this is broken. That's where we get stopped out. But it's still a TP. We're still taking the profit, and the price is going to a consolidation mode, and that's how we can like that's where new things are coming in, the uptrend is coming in. So there will be separate kind of trades here. We can initiate some long trades also from these levels. Again, same thing happening time and time again. It's taking the FEGs, mitigating, going lower, uh, and yeah, that's how we can trade. That's how we can be in trades for longer without having to have the fear of the SL. So that's what I wanted to share as well about this. So also about these big kind of wide kind of, so this is 2452. These kind of FPGs are better avoided while taking initial trades. So well, while you are inside a trade, that's fine, but if we are initiating a new trade, these kind of FPGs are quite risky because they are quite wide and it can mitigate from anywhere. It can mitigate from the lower level, it can mitigate from the middle point, it can mitigate from the top point. So it's better to avoid these kind of fair value gaps because they are generally coming in from higher amount of volume or unnatural amount of volume or something that is not in our control, generally speaking. So uh, that's about it. It's not really very difficult or complicated process to follow. When a new AVG is printed, let's say for example, we'll see if we just let's remove it. We'll see that a new AVG was just printed a while ago. This is where I mentioned the short trade from 2014, and it gave quite a bit, like $4 move downside. Mitigating this, it is trying to mitigate the same level again, but the environment we are in might not be best suited. It's rising. It's also taking the mitigation, like from this APG. It's taking the support there as well from for 3 bars at least in 1 2 3. So that's what we also have to consider. The price action we obviously have to consider. So also it has been mitigated once. That's also something we have to consider. So that's why we need to be cautious about sorting right away in this. But yeah, it's not that we can't, because again, if we get the entry right, it's 24.50. We only have about $1, $1.5 less here. So that's something we can do. People can do if because these traders also are doing, because they are targeting the higher RRR and they don't care if they hit the $2 SL. And that's how price action traders generally see the market and generally navigate the fast moving markets. So also the factor is we have to make quick decisions because they will not mitigate for longer. So it's getting there, it's rejecting and moving up. Generally it moves a lot faster as well. So yeah, that's about it, I think. Some of these areas the page is not printing, they should be printing, but why it is not printing I don't know. I'll check. Anyway, uh, I think the idea is kind of clear. Okay, thank you. Also, yeah, sorry, before that, just to mention this other strategy we were discussing, the breakdown of the Supertrend and Fisher. So when something is Supertrend and MA, when something is triggering the MA and the Supertrend together, that's generally a good signal. Like this, it's generating the Supertrend green, it's breaking the 50 MA, so that's a good signal. Same thing happening here, that's a good signal. The same thing happening here, but it's not really a good signal. Obviously, everything has kind of exception. Again, this is creating a signal, and then uh, yeah, it's moving up. From what we can say here is that because it's still rising and there is creating a bearish signal, that is not working. But in the next scenario, that's not the case. That's why it's sorting. But yeah, that's just chart reading as well. So it's previously as well. I have not gone in too much into detail, but previously it's worked as well. So this is again one area it has worked. If we go back more, it's not the best or most recurring situation, because it's difficult for the MA and the super trend to be triggering at once. Again, yeah, this is another scenario. It's triggering together and then falling on the through the face of the earth, around $30 or so. So it's quite interesting thing to look at when something is triggering together again, triggering together and working. So that's something we can look for, because it's easier to find, easier to locate, and easier to target. And because we have the super trend, we have the MA, we will have a clear SL as well. And obviously, a PG, how much, as much as we can leverage it, we will.